Let's not show the dishes in the background. Are you dying to learn how to make homemade sourdough bread like all the other ladies? Aerated, delicious, has an awesome crust, crusty, but soft. This is the simplest recipe for the most delicious, bounciest sourdough bread. I will show you how to make it. You don't need a fancy Dutch oven. All you need is a bread pan and sourdough starter. People think that making sourdough takes forever. Clearly, I have no time, but this sourdough recipe is so easy. I will just show you how to do it. Okay, so you want a food scale and you want to get 100 grams of starter. You do not have to have the starter fed when you do this. I've done it where it needs to be fed, and so I just feed it with the flour for making the bread. And then you want about 3 teaspoons of salt. It seems like a lot, but it makes the bread taste better. And then refresh the scale. You want 430 grams of water. And try to be as exact as you can. Tare it again, have it be 0, and then put 512 grams of flour. Get bread flour. If you don't have bread flour, try to get the cleanest flour you can get, okay? So like ones with less ingredients in it. And then you wanna mix it all together till it forms a dough. So it's just gonna get combined together, so you just don't want any flour left. You don't want it to be too wet or too dry. If you followed the measurements, it should work every time. When you make sourdough, do yourself a favor and make it at night. So start around like 8 o'clock at night, because you need to pull it. So like basically stir it a few times before you go to bed. It's not too wet, not too dry. It's definitely sticky, but you don't see any flour that needs to be mixed in still. Get a towel and cover it for a little bit. Like watch a movie, halfway through the movie, come and pull it, stir it again, but do it like 3 times before you go to bed. If you can. If you can't, that's okay. Sometimes I've done it like 1 time before I went to bed and it turned out just fine. So we'll do this and then we'll come back and stir it in like a little bit. Okay, so it's been sitting for a little bit. So I'm gonna do my first turn with the spatula. You do this and it just starts to stretch the dough. You just wanna twist it, stretch it. Try to get all the sides, do it towards the middle. And then try doing this at least 1 more time before you go to bed. And when I make sourdough bread, I usually make it in a plastic container. When you're doing the pulling at nighttime before you go to sleep, just lay a towel over, but when you go to bed, put the lid on top of it and store it in an airtight container like this until the morning. Good morning! The sourdough bread has sat overnight and I'll show you what to do. It's like doubled in size. Get olive oil, and I just take the lid and I pour like 2 lidfuls on top of the bread. And in the bread pan, this is a 5 by 10 bread pan, I take some butter and you just want to grease the bread pan. So I grease it all over. And then you take your clean hands and then you want to massage the oil around the dough. You tuck in like this because you want to make a loaf. When the sides are all pulled away from the container, then you want to take the dough and make it a long loaf and put it inside the bread pan. You want it to rise to the top of the bread pan. Depending on how hot it is, it can take about 2 to 4 hours to rise. So if you're gone at work, make this bread on a weekend when you are home in the mornings, because if it over rises, it will still cook, but it won't be as good. Take your saran wrap and I place it over the top. Okay, so it's tight, and just let it sit on the counter for a couple hours. The bread has risen almost to the top. It took probably around like 3-4 hours to do this. So now we're gonna set the oven to 425 and bake it for 20 minutes. And then you drop it down to 375 for 25 minutes. The timer went off, so now just press bake, 375, and then you're gonna bake it for 25 minutes. But do not open the oven, but just change the temperature. Okay, the oven timer is off. Let's look at the bread. Perfect. It's brown on top, it has a crust. Tip the bread out of the pan and sit it on a cooling rack until it is cool. Do not cut into it yet, because if you do, it won't cut right and it'll be squished. So let it cool down completely and then you can cut it. And this is one of my favorite tips when you're making sourdough bread. So you know how when you cut the piece, it gets hard, and so you kind of have to slice away to get a softer piece? Well, here's a way to prevent that. So when you first cut the bread, cut it in the middle so that when you have the two halves, you can put them together like this and store it in a towel, and these ends will never get hard. Don't be intimidated to make sourdough bread. I promise you it's easier than you think. Hey, if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and be sure to check out these. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.